In this video, we talk about a potential matchup between former teammates and current welterweight contenders Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal. So this would definitely be one of the most entertaining matchups they could make in the UFC right now, especially when you consider Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal's past and their history as best friends. And they cornered each other for old fights, trained with each other in the same gym.
Mike Brown, my head coach, my best friend Jorge Masvidal, Team Easy Money Tour taking over the welterweight division.
They definitely have a lot of history, and this fight would definitely be huge. It would be very impactful for both guys. They have huge rivalries, and it's definitely an interesting fight to see.
These guys now are big pay-per-view draws as well, with Colby Covington having his big kind of rivalry with Kamaru Usman, and both those fights doing really well, and of course Jorge Masvidal exploding in popularity off his huge KOs of the likes of Darren Till and his fastest knockout ever of Ben Askren, and then also fighting Usman as well. So that fight, it would just do huge numbers, and it would be so entertaining due to the animosity and the build-up as well. In the press conferences and all of it would just be, it would just add to the fight so much more as well.
I'm putting on a show for you all, you Saturday night. That's why I'm the people's champ. I love you all, filthy animals.
And I mean, obviously both guys coming off a loss to Kamaru Usman, so this fight definitely makes sense when you consider the rankings and where these both are at in their careers right now. Colby Covington, the #1 ranked welterweight, and Jorge Masvidal, the 6th ranked welterweight. So yeah, it would definitely be a great matchup and a great match to make for the UFC, especially considering that Usman's been going through every single guy in the welterweight division one by one, obviously beating both these guys twice. So if either of these guys want a trilogy, they're going to have to work their way up, and fighting each other is going to be an amazing way to try and get that. It's going to be super interesting. Obviously, Jorge Masvidal, the BMF champion, after he defeated Nate Diaz in that exciting fight. So it's going to be interesting how they match up. Obviously, Colby Covington, the former interim welterweight champion, and he has great wins and super entertaining personality. Whether you love him or hate him, he's a super polarizing figure in the UFC, and he plays as a huge character, playing into the role, and kind of like a heel almost. So yeah, he's super exciting. He likes to build fights, and he has nicknames for every fighter. I mean, calls Jorge Masvidal Street Judas.
Enemies fight with Jorge Masvidal, Street Judas.
Has different names for everyone. So it's gonna be interesting. He had two really competitive fights with Kamaru Usman, and he did well in both fights, but ended up coming short. While Jorge Masvidal came up pretty short in that last fight. Unfortunately, he had a pretty brutal knockout loss to Usman.
A fight between the two would be like, let them to have a huge case for themselves to building up to fighting back for that title. Well, yeah, both of them fought for the title twice against Usman, and in order for them to even try to attempt to fight again, they would both need huge wins to come back, and I feel like this would be a huge first step to them. Their matchup wise, they both have pretty kind of different styles. As one, Colby's a wrestler, very good wrestler, but he still has a great stand-up, and Jorge's amazing kickboxer, great stand-up, and has pretty good takedown defense as well. It would just be massive for the UFC in general. Just be a huge rivalry, and one of the biggest rivalries of all time, pretty much.
There's clips of them out there that they're super close, and they're super cordial towards each other.
But that's my roommate, that's my best friend right there. I ain't gotta worry about nobody grinding on me after I got him on me.
And obviously we have Masvidal, who's super experienced in just combat sports in general. He's had 50 fights in his career with a 35-15 record. And he's been involved in numerous street fights, as we know, known as the Street Jesus. So yeah, he's also experimented in different other combat sports. He's done kickboxing, he's done boxing, wrestling, and of course, as we know, mixed martial arts. So yeah, he's super experienced in the game, and Colby Covington as well. He's a D1 wrestler, and he has amazing cardio. He's such a cardio fiend, and he has that pace to put it on anyone. So yeah, it would definitely be a super interesting fight, and just the build up alone would make this one of the most entertaining fights of all time. Like, both these guys' rivalry and their hatred, and how they used to be best friends, and then it just turned out of nowhere.
That's all Jorge is a guy that cares for himself. He doesn't care for others, and he doesn't care for anybody unless they can do something for him. And I'm not that guy. I'm not going to always just do stuff for you and then be taken for granted. So
It is what it is, man. All these words, they do have consequences with me because this guy used to sleep in my couch. He used to eat off me.
And you just look at the guys they both fought, like Colby beating RDA or Rafael dos Anjos, beating Damian Maia, beating Tyron Woodley. Just all their history combined would just make this an amazing fight.
And there were talks that this would end up on the Ultimate Fighter, which that would definitely that'd be
It
crazy.
would
The
be
build up
amazing.
between that.
Yeah. Just to see a season of the two on like Ultimate Fighter with all the content that would happen there would be
Yeah,
just great. Like you could definitely see a lot of fights that would
it'd be so
crack off
interesting.
between the two. Like that would just make the fight way better on top of what it
Yeah.
already is. All that extra build up with it, all those shenanigans that will probably happen in that season of the Ultimate Fighter, and would just make the fight that much more better.
Yeah, and I mean, considering they're both in similar situations right now, they've had a falling out and huge beef, and they used to be trying to climb their way to the top together, and now they're at the top, but as individuals. So yeah, they're in a similar position, and they're working towards another title shot against Kamaru Usman if he remains the champ. So yeah, it's definitely the fight to make, and it's probably one of the most entertaining matchups the UFC can make.